Recording. Got it. Okay, welcome to our Revolution East Bay monthly meeting. Today's going to be a little bit of a short meeting. What we have going on, we have some people who are running to be on the board of KPFA, and Mark Van Landet is going to talk about KPFA and the slate and people who aren't here that are running on the slate. He's also going to mention. We have a couple people here that are on the slate. We have two people coming today that are asking for our endorsement. One is Marisol Rubio, who I think many of you know. She's running for a state Senate seat. And I forget what district because they changed the district so much, but she will let us know. And the other person is Sasha Ritzie-Hernandez, who's running in a November special election in Oakland for a vacant seat on the school board. And then we're going to hear from Gordon Miller, who's going to talk about CARA, which is the California Alliance for Retired Americans. And here and there, we're going to hear a couple times from Sherry Johansson, who's also on our board, and she's going to talk about some of the issues, and she's also going to talk about Pamela Price and what's going on with her. So it's going to be a good meeting, and it will probably be shorter than our 3-hour meetings we sometimes have. Anyway, so welcome everybody, and I think we're going to get started now with Mark Van Landet.
Well, my goodness. So the challenge is put out there by Carol to make this a short meeting. So I'll try to curb my usually effusive eloquence, as someone called it. So everyone needs to know that the KPFA board elections are coming up very soon. And I know a lot of the members here at our Revolution East Bay are listeners to KPFA at the Pacifica and are probably members. And for those who need a little background with what I'm talking about, KPFA is the oldest, longest lasting left media institution in the United States. And KPFA is corporate free media. Now, why is this important? Listener supported corporate free media. And it is because of KPFA and Pacifica that we have programs like Democracy Now!, like Letters in Politics, like Law and Disorder, like Upfront. Very important programs, programs for the political and cultural fabric of the Bay Area here. And KPFA we're awash in corporate media, yet KPFA is the last radio station with any semblance of a news department that actually covers what happens in Sacramento. It's really important, KPFA. And the fact that we have this corporate free media, which you cannot say of NPR or PBS, Pacifica also has a sound archive, probably second only to the BBC and to the Alan Lomax Library of Congress recordings. It's a precious part of our cultural heritage. And what's coming up next is these are going to be very fraught times for Pacifica Radio and for KPFA in general. And it's very important that we have responsible and responsive members of the board, and your vote can really make the difference here. I think it's about $20 to become a member, and with that you have a voice, you have a vote, and your vote really will matter. Your vote really will determine the outcome of that election. And I'm here to talk about the KPFA Protector Slate, of which I'm very happy to say we have 2 members from. And I'm going to turn over the microphone to one of my fellow members of this KPFA Protector Slate, and that's Carlos. Go ahead. Carlos, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me at the OREB, Our Revolution East Bay meeting. I'm very happy. I used to participate some time ago, and then I dropped, but I am a strong supporter. I'm running for the KPFA local station board we call LSB. together with a group of other people. Mark is part of the group, and Lily, who's here, is part of the group. It's 9 of us. And I want to say up front, if you want to understand more and read more about our group, we have a website, which is www.kpfaprotectors, all one word, .org. And you will have a lot of information there. Essentially, what is the issue? The issue is the Pacifica Radio Network is comprised of 5 radio stations. KPFA is one of them, but there are others: New York, Washington, D.C., Houston, and L.A. And the way the Pacifica Network is set up is the board of the Pacifica Network is set up is each station sends 4 delegates to this Pacifica National Board. And it is this Pacifica National Board that has all the power to make decisions, finances, etc. The problem with that setup, the unfortunate problem that the people that wrote the bylaws didn't realize, is that it set up a system like the US Senate, where Rhode Island has the same representation as California. So in that board, the KPFA is in a minority. And the problem with that is that the Pacifica Radio Network has been losing money for years, and big money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just to give you a quick idea, they took 2 loans, one for $3+ million, the other one for $2+ million, and they put some of the Pacifica buildings as collaterals, including the KPFA building. And now they don't have money to pay. They are behind in their payments. They have one of these loans have been called for already for collection. The Pacifica doesn't have money and has stopped paying all insurances in all buildings and equipment, which is unheard of. Pacifica has failed the last several years of audits and doesn't even have the money to pay for the 2022 audit. And what has happened is Pacifica has started taking money from KPFA to pay for the other stations, even as basic things as payroll or benefits. So really, Pacifica is in a big problem. And KPFA, there are people at KPFA board and other supporters that have been trying to push the Pacifica National Board to make changes so that to stop the bleeding. And they haven't. They haven't. The people that control the Pacifica board are coming from the stations that are losing money. So at this point, the KPFA protectors is a group of people that we are trying to see how we can protect KPFA. There are several ideas. The idea I've been proposing is more financial independence for all the stations. I believe that all the stations should own their own money, should control their own destiny. And so we could still have a Pacifica board, we could share programming, we could share projects, we could share many things, but the finances should be owned by each of the stations. And at a minimum, KPFA should own its own finances. And we call that financial autonomy. So I don't want to make it much longer. You get the idea. We respectfully ask, if you are a member of KPFA, if you donated $25 or more between July 1st of last year and June 30th of this year, you can vote. And if you haven't received a ballot, you can ask Mark or one of us. We can send you the link and you can request a ballot. It's an electronic vote, and you have time until September 30th to vote. Again, by the way, we have the endorsements of most of the hosts of KPFA for our slate, including Brian Edwards Tickert, Kat Brooks, Mitch Jeseritz, Philip Muldery, Eileen Alfandari, Sasha Lilly, C.S. Song, etc., etc., etc. So I would encourage you to vote, to read our website, and ask for a ballot. And thank you again for this opportunity.
And thank you, Carlos, for that very well done survey of the situation that KPFA is in and sort of the dire situation that needs to be addressed in these upcoming months and with the upcoming board. It should be said that the future of Pacifica as a foundation is hinging on the sale of property and assets in Los Angeles, and also of just the constant termination of staff and personnel. And this is not something that KPFA, which is in comparison very well run station and very financially responsible station in comparison. And it's important for KPFA to survive whatever choppy waters that Pacifica is going to go through. I'm going to turn the microphone over to someone else who's also part of the KPFA protectors. And once again, Carlos, longtime member of our Revolution East Bay, I really want to thank you. That was really well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person is a noted lawyer in family law. She is the person at meetings that always asks the hard questions. She is Lily Kimura. Lily, go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. That was very delicately put. Basically, I'm the troublemaker that asks all the. But anyway, I'm an incoming fourth-year LSB board member for KPFA. I'm really proud of this slate that we're part of. Obviously, you've heard from Mark and Carlos, who are excellent representatives. I requested to be re-up with the protectors because I was really troubled by some of the ideas that were floating around to cure Pacifica's and indirectly KPFA's financial issues. One of them is commercial underwriting that we, I believe, as a group are very much opposed to, because anytime we bring in corporate sponsorships of whatever type of business, our programs inevitably get diluted. And then we also have to inevitably cater to somebody else instead of being open with different progressive and diverse ideas. Another troubling aspect is there's talk of centralizing the budget. I think Carlos mentioned how KPFA funds were dipped into to pay for other stations who are not as performing as well as KPFA. And if we end up sending our money directly to Pacifica, I believe we'll also lose a lot of donations. A lot of people, when I request donations from them from KPFA, they hear about the lawsuits that have had to been paid out for other stations, and they say, look, I want to earmark my money for KPFA, and we would lose that kind of power. I believe that, especially in these very troubling times, KPFA is one of the few resources where we can go and have diverse and different programming. Let me also say about the KPFA protectors, we're not a monolithic group. We have some pretty good meetings where we have a lot of disagreements regarding issues. But there's one thing I've been impressed with and why I belong to this group is that we don't have issues between us based on personalities. We deal with the issues at fact, and I can't say that for other groups that I've investigated and wanted to become a part of. I don't want to prolong my monologue since Mark and Carlos have done an excellent job of representing our group more than I can. But I request your vote. I ask that you vote for the protectors and because I believe we're the group that talks about the issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily. Thank you for that. I'm going to turn the microphone over to our organizer in chief. I mean, she's just tireless in terms of herding cats and and defending KPFA from all sorts of bad ideas. She's secretary of the board of directors, and she is my dear friend Carol Wolfley. Carol, go ahead.
You're muted.
Yeah,
Unmute.
Okay, thank you. So I am so happy to be with Our Revolution. I love the work you're doing. I love that you're doing your endorsements. And I wanted to just say a couple of things because I don't see Michael Cheng here, and Michael is one of your Our Revolution members, and I've been working with him. He's putting out a communication in the election about climate emergency, and I know this is also an issue that is dear to Mark's and I believe all of our hearts right now. KPFA is an FCC emergency alert station, and as we move into this new time of acceleration of climate events, we are going to need independent media to cover these issues, to have resources available for the community. And that means also the communities in prisons, hospitals, elder facilities, schools, so that we are able to have the support and the resources needed and get those to people, and so that we are also able to understand the dynamics of what's going on and the possible scientific solutions. And I have been so proud to be able to work with Michael Cheng, who is a chemist and scientist, and to talk about these issues and how KPFA can do that. And it's also a great pleasure to work with Candace Schott, who is a member of Our Revolution, and as you all know, an amazing administrator. And Candace is helping us with our Get Out the Vote calling. We are calling members, and I think Joaquin and some other people have been helping with that. And if we're still looking for 4 more callers to help us make calls, so if anybody would like to help with that, please, you can contact us about anything at kpfaprotectors@gmail.com. And to see more information about our candidates, go to kpfaprotectors.org. I'll mention one other thrust of our campaign is outreach to youth and diverse communities as part of our multiracial signal range in the Bay Area. And this is a really important part of our platform and the work that Mark is doing to have multimedia platforms on KPFA. So thank you, Mark, for that. And so I'll turn it back to all of you. Thank you so much.
Carol Wolfley, thank you so much, and thank you for everything that you've done for KPFA for all these many years. It's deeply appreciated. I just want to underline something that Carol said in terms of an FCC emergency station. When the wildfires happened, when the great earthquakes happened, when the refineries have their flares, it's KPFA that is giving emergency messages, emergency services, emergency communications to the community. Every other corporate radio station will not spare a minute of their commercial time to do that. It is KPFA that does that. So, and in terms of what she said about moving into digital media and getting younger people, it is my objective to make sure that KPFA is turned over to people that are way younger than I am. That's my big mission. And if I leave KPFA having done that, I'll be very happy. Just real quick mention the other members of the protector slate. I'll put it into the chat. Emma Auer, who's is completely committed to Indigenous voices and youth voices. Sharon Adams, who is a noted lawyer, anti-war activist, lawyer for trademark and copyright. Candace Schott, who you just heard, who is a co-founder of Our Revolution East Bay. Michael Cheng, who couldn't be here, who's, of course, all of you know. Also, Sherry Risen, and Colleen Mass, all great people, well worth your vote. Colleen Mass, who's a very interesting character. She was a merchant marine, and she comes from Amish country in Pennsylvania. When I was working for Bernie in 2016, one of the things that amazed me, I was out in Amish country in Pennsylvania. The Amish communities all love Bernie, and they all voted for Bernie in massive numbers, massive numbers. And I always think about that when I think about the results of the 2016 election, particularly in Pennsylvania, about that the commitment and love that the Amish country, all of that Northwest area that went to Trump, how it could have been different if Bernie Sanders was the candidate.
Wow, they got it.
And I think about that a lot. But anyway, so these wonderful people, I'm going to put their names in the chat, and I hope that that we can earn your vote for this upcoming KPFA election. It's very important for the future of corporate free radio here in the Bay Area. And with that, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back to Carol.
Okay, so we have one question, and there may be more. First question is Sudia. We can't hear you. Unmute.
Oh, you got me? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
we got you now.
Yeah, for, either Mark or Carlos, whoever, it seems like there's an opposition slate, and whose only claim to fame is that they have a lot of union members. They don't seem to have many ideas, but I don't know if they're a stand-in for this Pacifica cabal that's in there or what, but how do you propose kind of opposing them? I'm assuming that they will siphon some votes away towards because of their so-called union affiliations, but how do you characterize them in your campaign?
Well, I'm not sure if it's accurate if they're all union members or not. There is another slate, and we don't say anything bad about them. We believe that our better ideas and our commitment for the survival of KPFA will be enough.
They're saying plenty bad about you. Goddamn liberals.
Yeah, it's ironic because it's we who believe that it's the neoliberal failures that have brought this country to this point. So anyway, it's we're not running against any other people running for these positions. We're running for the survival of KPFA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to add is, there's a whole Pacifica, and we would like to see progressive stations all over the country. And there's some part of our campaign that is in a way saying, we want to be separate. We don't care about you. We're just going to survive ourselves. And I'm a little uncomfortable with that perspective. I know what we're doing. I know that we have to survive as KPFA. We've been members, paying members, dues members for a long, long, long time. But I don't understand. I know what kind of things the New York group has done that's been really kind of destructive to the whole group financially. But I just, do we want the whole Pacifica to disintegrate and just KPFA to survive, or how do we look at that?
No, not at all. Sadia, that's a good question and a fair question. It is my stance that the survival of Pacifica is hinged on the survival of KPFA, and the preservation of the heritage of Pacifica, of bringing those those dissenting voices, of corporate free voices, of voices of the community. That is our mission, and we are here for the preservation of that. What is happening in other stations is very alarming. They've turned into QVCs, paid shopping networks for a lot of very disreputable people. When we sell off everything and we become vulnerable to the highest bidder, that's the kind of thing that will happen. And so we're desperately trying to make sure that does not happen here in the Bay Area.
If I can add,
Sure.
Mark, I totally agree with Mark. In general, we don't throw mud. We don't talk bad about them. They are running. They have every right. I'm really, really sorry that they do throw mud at us, but we talk about the issue, and the key issue, the elephant in the room, is the Pacifica financial crisis. And on my side, yes, I would love to see Pacifica succeed and grow. But if they can't and they are not making the changes, our fear is that they're going to drag everybody down, including KPFA. So, I mean, if they keep losing, and I'm not talking just a few $1,000s, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars per year, nobody can sustain that. So our priority is to save KPFA. Hopefully we can save Pacifica also, but at least we need to make sure that KPFA survives, and we are hoping that they will make the necessary changes to survive, to stop the bleeding.
Thank you,
Or
Carlos.
is it
Carlos, I'll
partly
give you the
because
last
they don't have the member paying people in their for their station, or is it that they're spending in ways that they shouldn't?
It's a combination of all sorts of factors, and that's amongst a lot of mismanagement, a lot of money that's gone missing, and it's something that we don't want here. Carol, I'm going to give you the last word.
I have one thing to say as being the other Carol. I
Okay.
noticed there's a comment in the chat, and I'm wondering if one of you would like to address it or not.
While Mark's reading it, how about if I jump in and say
Okay.
a couple of things? We at KPFA, working with KPFA protectors, one of our characteristics is that we work with KPFA management, we work with the affiliates nationally, and we have alliances with people, a lot of alliance with people in Texas and at KPFK as well. KPFK is in horrific governance crisis with 2 separate LSBs and fights over that. So, but amidst that, you know, we are working actively to build relationships, and no matter what happens, we want to continue with program sharing, and we want to have financial autonomy, but with program sharing, and I think that's crucial. And I wanted to make a comment about, you know, there's a kind of division that is being advocated between the staff and the union at KPFA. And we believe in supporting both the union and working with the union for them to have decent wages, and to work with the unpaid staff for them to have good working conditions. And so we want to support people working together.
And there's like-minded people in every single station in Pacific Network.
Yeah, there are.
Collaborate with, and so
Yeah.
it's I mean, a lot of things hinge on KPFA saying solvent and strong and relevant and continuing to broadcast.
Yeah.
Carol, Carlos, Lily, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I put the names of the slate in the chat. If you have any further questions, go ahead and you know, hit us up individually. And with that, I will let Carol Coyote carry on with our Revolution East Bay meeting.
Okay, so let's see where we're at. We're going to have a short report on what's going on with Pamela Price, and then we're going to move into hearing from the candidates that are here. So Sherry, go for it.
Let me unmute. I've been out in the hot sun all day at the Solano Stroll, along with Carol and a lot of other people, so my voice is kind of groggly. You know, we all worked really hard to get a progressive district attorney in Alameda County. We knocked on doors, we tabled, we collected money, and she worked just as hard as we did right alongside. The minute she was elected, literally, a group of people formed a task force and to recall her. Literally, before she'd even hardly set her foot in office. They started the recall process. They're not recalling her for any particular thing, no matter what you hear. It's basically because she's a progressive attorney. A lot of the money is coming from outside. This is a national group of people, a lot of police unions, a lot of private prisons are putting money in this. There's just an awful lot of pushback against the progressive district attorneys and the progressive change in justice. So they're trying to control the narrative, which it's kind of like when she was running, we said, we don't want to have juveniles put in prison and the keys thrown away for minor offenses. We all agreed to that. We all agreed we'd rather pay for education, for community development, for alternative justice. That was one of the things she made no, that was the platform that she was elected to. And we all voted for her. She won substantially on that platform. So they've turned the narrative around to, oh, the district attorney is not prosecuting to the full extent of the law shoplifters. Now, some of these shoplifters, yeah, you see it on the news. It's really nasty. You don't want to be, you feel bad about it. But they're 14-year-old kids. And they are organized by somebody else. They certainly are not, if you know any 14-year-olds, all they are interested in mostly is phones and electronics. And so the narrative, they're trying to control the narrative to the fact that, oh, we need tough law and order. Well, we've had law and order people in office now before she was elected, and the crime was just about the same. Crime hasn't changed. Crime is crime. So we need to give her a chance. So unfortunately, just as KPFA is having financial problems, Pamela and her progressive agenda is going to have money to fight against this recall. So it's almost like a third election she's got to finance. She's got to ask you for money. So we are co-hosting on the 23rd of this month, her birthday party. And I'm going to put it up on our Facebook page and we'll get it out in our newsletter. But basically what we want you to do is change the narrative when you talk. There's lots of stuff in the news. Talk to your neighbors. If you're really brave, go on next door, because that's where a lot of this stuff is happening. And just say, hey, what about this? What about that? Change the narrative, but also we're hoping that you'll support her, unfortunately, new campaign to defeat the recall. So, and just kind of keep an eye on our Twitter page. Ina does our Twitter. What are we also on? I forgot. What's the other one? Anyway, our various social media and our newsletters, and let's keep her in office because we elected her by a majority to do just what she's doing.
So the same thing that happened to Chesa Boudin in San Francisco?
Yep.
It's the same people. And actually it's happened in a lot of other places too. There's a lot of money involved in the other side. If you think about corporate prisons, for instance, and law enforcement, there's just a lot of money. And people, it's a fear tactic. And you know that our opponents of the progressive agenda use fear very well.
Protect Pamela. Protect Pamela.
Yeah, and decline to sign is what we're saying. If you see people out with petitions, they're not out yet, but they should be out probably the beginning of next month.
I believe they're starting next Monday, a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, That's what I've heard too.
Yeah,
So the mantra is decline to sign. Don't sign it. Give her a chance.
and
And
also discourage people. Let your friends know
Yeah.
what's going on and discourage people from signing this. They have to
So,
get a
Carol,
lot
that's
of signatures and we can slow it down.
You know, Carol, that's a great organizing strategy that we should be doing. We should get a lot of
Yeah.
signs, decline to sign, and be there when those petitioners are out hitting the streets. Just be there. We have every right to be there, and we just hover that over the other people. Don't stop anyone from speaking, but we just hold those signs over.
Yeah, I think that's a
petitioners.
great idea, Mark.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it at our next
Okay.
board meeting.
so I'm sorry that this is not good news, but I really believe that in the end, she will prevail again. It's just unfortunate that it's going to cost time, effort, and money again.
Yeah, and she's got more important things to do too
Really.
in trying to do what she wanted to do. Okay, thank you so much, Sherry. We're going to move on to a different segment now. We have two candidates here. We have Marisol Rubio from the other side of the hills, as I call it, and she's running for state senate. And we have Sasha Hernandez, who's running for a special election locally in Oakland. And we're going to hear from both of those. I think Richard, were you going to introduce? No, Gordon, you were going to introduce Marisol. Can't hear you. Gordon, we can't hear you.
Thank you. We've all heard of AOC, and the East Bay has its own counterpart to AOC, progressive, youthful, and ready to go, and that's Marisol Rubio.
Yay.
With that introduction, take it away.
AOC.
Okay, Gordon, you made me blush, just so you know. Yeah, I'll let you, Sherry. Should I do an introduction or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're not actually timing it. If you can do it in 3 or 4 minutes or less, whatever you're comfortable with, and then there will probably be some questions.
Not a problem. Thank you so much. My name is Marisol Rubio. I am a council member at the City of San Ramon and former vice president, director of the Dublin San Ramon Services Water District. Prior to serving on the water board, I ran a corporate free money campaign for State Senate District 7, as you recall, against Steve Glazer. As a second-generation American, I was raised by my single mother, a teacher in a high-need school district who taught me to fight for a better future for myself and for my community. I experienced the unimaginable when my then infant daughter, Alexandria, was diagnosed with brain cancer. If not for my tireless medical and educational advocacy on my daughter's behalf against an unresponsive and dismissive healthcare and education system, my daughter would not have survived and received a quality education. Through that experience, I learned firsthand the problems that exist within our healthcare and education systems and the importance of providing quality, affordable healthcare and education and paid medical leave. As a single mom and ardent community advocate, I have put my background as a bilingual science teacher, learning coach, health promotion officer, and disability student advisor to work for others through my various leadership roles. As a candidate for state senate, I fought for greater environmental and disability protections, gun safety measures, and affordable health care, housing, and higher education. I have developed deep roots in the Bay Area and across California as a Sierra Club California and San Francisco Bay at-large executive board member, chapter delegate to the California Conservation Committee, and director of government relations for the San Francisco Bay Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, vice chair of the CDP, California Democratic Party Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, also vice chair of the Democratic Party of Contra Costa County Rules Committee and formerly the Issues Committee, president for the Diablo Valley Democratic Club, National and State Leadership Council member for the Elected Officials to Protect America, SEIU 2015 delegate and Climate Caucus member at the Contra Costa Labor Council as well. I also currently serve as co-chair for a Labor Climate Task Force, which is a groundbreaking initiative I am co-leading with between several Bay Area environmental groups and the Contra Costa Building and Construction Trades Council to develop legislation that will help our workers in the trades industry transition to green jobs. This pilot effort will eventually expand to the Bay Area and beyond. I am also a founding board member to 2 disability advocacy groups, the Natalie Project and From Truth Youth. And as a DNC delegate, I drafted the 2016 DNC Disability and Caregiver Rights Platform. I have also been a guest lecturer on patient and family-centered care at Samuel Merritt University, which is the FACES Medical Academy, Summer Medical Academy since 2006. Today, as vice president of the Dublin, as the city before as the Dublin San Ramon Services District, I took my lifelong work background in science, social justice, and environmental advocacy to protect one of California's most vulnerable and limited resources, water. I am proud to have also participated in the Water Education for Latino Leaders, Untapped, in 2022, and will continue to put my extensive socio-political and organizational leadership to work for the human right to clean water and clean, reliable water across California. As your next state senator, I will bring visibility to and fight for our most pressing issues, including disability, workers, racial and human rights, as well as access to affordable, quality healthcare, education, and housing. Address income inequality, and fight for government transparency. I will make sure to hold our elected officials accountable to all Californians. Enough is enough. We deserve justice now. I also, in closing, just say I received my Bachelor of Arts from the University of California, Berkeley, with a major in molecular cell biology with a neurobiology emphasis, where I received the PEO Women's Leadership Award. I currently live in San Ramon with my daughter, who is just graduated from Diablo Valley College with a double major in psychology and in Spanish, and is transferring to a UC University at the moment. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Marisol, excuse me. Who would like to ask a question? I'm sure there's some questions out there. Okay, Matthew.
Can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Great. Okay, Marisol. So here's my question. One thing we've seen a lot in recent years, particularly in the Bay Area, is basically the corporate real estate industry's attempts to co-opt the housing crisis through their front groups known as YIMBYs, and basically trying to say stuff like, we just need to build a ton of market rate housing and that'll solve everything. And those are, some of the biggest folks who supported recalling Chesapeake, for instance, have put in people on the Berkeley City Council and elsewhere who oppose rent control. My question is, like, are you going to be standing as a state senator? Will you be standing with tenants unions that are fighting for like affordable housing, or will you be like standing with the real estate industry and their YIMBY front groups?
Great. Thank you for your question, Matthew. And I am proud to say that I absolutely have never taken money from developers or, or any such entity that profits from construction personally. And I do not, I personally, that's one of kind of my Achilles heel problems I have, my pet peeves, honestly, with the construction of housing. Many of these developments are about 15%. Some are even as low as only 10% affordable. And then we also have to address the issue of some of these units having deeds that will eventually become market rate apartments or condos or what have you. And so we have to really think long-term and expand the amount of truly affordable housing. And I think saying truly is actually a key word, because I can tell you, living in San Ramon, it's not affordable to live in San Ramon, even when it's affordable housing. You still have to make $75,000 or more. And most people, there's plenty of people who I'm pretty sure can say they don't even make that much money. So that's kind of one of my pet peeves personally, is that, you know, we're building, but we're not actually being equally aggressive about making sure that our initial goal was always to ask for 25% affordable housing, and we're not getting anywhere near that. So I would absolutely oppose any construction that is anything less than that, in my humble opinion. So.
Okay, thank you. The next question, Sherry, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Am I unmuted? Yes. Marisol, yeah, I've known you for a long time, and I know that as the rest of us in OREB, we all have multiple issues that we care about. If and when you are elected, what would be the first bill that you'd like to put through as a new senator in the California legislature? What's your top thing that you'd like to see done?
Cancel student debt. If I could, in the state level, but I would push for any way to help with affordable college education, because honestly, I think the biggest problem we've had, this is another step that we often don't talk about. Yes, we talk about affordable college for public universities, but I'd like to actually put in legislation that will also require private universities to provide free college to a certain number of students, because as you know, we have these unfortunate rankings and newspapers in the magazines, right, that always put these private universities at the top. Well, we have many students who are bright, very bright and competent, that could go to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, and all these other schools, or here, Stanford in our case. And we certainly would like to see them have equal opportunity to go to those private universities of their choice as well. So I think education is the key, and making sure that we close loopholes that create disparities. For example, as a primary home caregiver, one of the biggest setbacks I experienced was not even having access to after-school care for my daughter, because she was considered a liability for them, and because she had a history of seizures. And so that made it very difficult for me to work full-time, and there's a whole host of problems that are subsequently happened as a result of that, whether it's housing insecurity, food insecurity, all of those things that we experience as a result of not being able to work full-time. And so those were things that impacted me very directly, and I would definitely work to also close those loopholes and make sure that everyone is able to thrive and flourish in California.
Okay, thank you. We have time for one more question, and we have one hand raised. Raphael, do you have a question, please?
Sure, and this is a relatively simple question. Marisol, why do you believe that you are the best candidate to serve Senate District 7?
Well, I can tell you, I've been sitting through now for probably, 5 years at least, through multiple interview processes. And I always ask the same question about home care providers and the issues that we face, the very complex, nuanced issues that we face. And I have yet to have one person who actually knows how to address those issues. And I feel that many of the issues that home care providers deal with are issues that actually intersect other populations, especially when we talk about the unhoused and how do people end up unhoused. For example, that UCSF article that recently came out talking about how what's forcing the one of the top 2 reasons being that there's a price hike, that is maybe only $200 or $300 outside their range, and ends up forcing people to be displaced, and wages not being adequate. Those are things I could have I definitely actually, I think it was Mark who recorded my video back then. And I said those things 4 years ago. The issues we face as primary caregivers are very much the issues that are often impacting those marginalized populations. We are a marginalized population, and we need faces and voices who will hold those people in Sacramento accountable to us, who will hold their feet to the fire unabashedly.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We're going to need to move on to our next candidate. And before we do, I just want to mention we have 2 candidates. We'll be sending out a ballot to members, paid members, in a couple of days, and give people a few days They can watch the recording again if they want, and they'll have access to the candidate questionnaires, and then people will vote. And hopefully in about a week, we'll have the results. So I just wanted to let people know that that's how that's going to go on. If you want to vote and you've attended a meeting before or gone out tabling with us in the past year, it's got to be, recent in the past year you've done something with us. Susanna, could you put our website up so people could officially join up? Anyway, go ahead and do that. And we have a sliding scale. We ask for $27 if it meets your budget. If it doesn't, we'll take $5. We don't want to turn anybody down. If you want to donate more or whatever, but we want people to participate. Okay. All right. Our next guest is going to be introduced by one of our board members, Richard Lee.
Thanks, Carol. Well, I have the privilege of introducing our next speaker, who's running for the OUSD District 5 seat. She's running to give everyone a voice, students, parents, educators, and community members alike. Sasha Ritzie-Hernandez is an educator, an organizer, a community activist, and someone who's not going to be afraid to challenge the status quo. She has a history of working in Oakland for those who have historically been denied access to representation or to the power to speak up. And that includes, obviously our immigrant communities, but also our low-income communities. Sasha believes in a student-first approach, and she has a proven track record for delivering. I'll say that I first met Sasha a couple of weeks ago, but the passion that she has for students and for quality education was just undeniable from the start. You can tell this issue is really personal to her, and her dedication to improving what's currently a very messy OUSD situation is really, really nothing short of admirable. So I will turn it over to you, Sasha. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate you for that. It's such an amazing introduction. I think the best introduction I've ever heard before. So thank you. I will take it with me as I go into this journey. Thank you, everyone, for having me. My name is Sasha Ritzie-Hernandez, and I'm running for the special elections in Oakland for District 5. But I also want to mention that I have a long life commitment to Oakland, so I would also be running in 2024 for the sake of consistency for our families. We need someone that is going to stick around and that is able to keep the change and support our families in the long term. And that is what I'm providing to Oakland through this campaign. But again, my name is Sasha Ritzie-Hernandez. I was born in Mexico. I lived there until I was 12 years old, and then I migrated to our fabulous city of Oakland. And I've had the privilege of living in this area for over 20 years. A few months ago, I became a U.S. citizen, and part of my civic duty, I felt like it was also running and representing the community that I've been serving for almost 10 years through various education organizations. I've been, so one of the things that I've done specifically in education has been to be a parent organizer, and then I became a senior parent organizer through the work because when I was young, as a undocumented student, an English language learner, low income, I couldn't pick a struggle. So I just ended up just checking all the boxes and giving that experience for me, and how that was very difficult for my family, who also was undocumented, who also didn't speak the language, who was having a really difficult time navigating the education system in the US. I became their advocate. I became their interpreter. I became their translator. And I know that has something that is a culture of Oakland right now, given that 75% of the students in District 5 identify as Latino, 50% in the entire district identify as Latino, and almost 50% also identifies as an English language learner. So given that experience, I decided that I wanted to do something with families, something that was gonna help us not only see our students and our education for our students be of quality, but also seeing these dual generational work where we also see the parents growing, when we see the parents seeking a higher education, where we see parents also going out to be part of their community, to run for office. Like, I've been so blessed to see our students grow, but also seeing our families grow in the process. And one of the reasons why I'm running is very simple. I supported families and empowering them to show up, to fight for policies to pass. And then when the policies are in hands of our politicians, what happens? They just collect dust and they don't move forward. And I was tired of lying to my parents and saying, hey, if we fight and we pass this policy, things are going to get better. And then we get there and the policies pass and then nothing is being done. My families were, well, we fought for this policy. We said that this is what we wanted. Why isn't anything changing? And that's when it occurred to me, hey, I probably should be one of those people that is in those positions of power that can shift and change and really implement policy. We've fight for policy and we have great policies already in OUSD. All we have to do is really have some fidelity to our policies and implement them. Another reason why I'm running is because, as you all may already know, it's all over the news. We also have been as part of the LGBTQ community, our students have been attacked in multiple areas, and I want to make sure that our students in Oakland also feel represented. If they are part of the LGBTQ community, I want them to look at their board and say, I have diversity, I have inclusion, I have somebody that can represent me and is going to fight for my rights. And that is something I didn't have growing up. So I want to make sure that I am that person that I needed when I was a young person. Thank you so much for having me. It is really a pleasure to be here with you all.
Okay, great. Sasha, we're glad you came. I bet there's some questions. We're going to open questions now. Come on, Matthew. You got to have a question.
Did Sudia put up her hand?
I don't have a question.
Pardon?
I said I don't have a question at this time.
Oh, okay.
This is a historic
Matthew
first.
is a longtime member. He almost always has a question. Okay, would anybody like to ask a question or clarify anything? Oh, Sherry's got her hand up. Sherry.
You know, I can't stop myself. Sasha, I have 2 grandkids in the Oakland system. And I love Oakland. I love a lot of the schools they've been to. But I'm worried about the system and what's happening with the closing the schools. And just like you said, it just seems like there's more talk than action. So
yeah,
can you kind of talk to the makeup of the current board and how you would fit in that, and how you think maybe your presence on the school board would change things for the better in Oakland?
Thank you. I think that there's a couple of things that currently don't exist in the format that we have as a board right now. One is we need more organizing. And that is something that I'm really hopeful that once again, I want to emphasize this, and I continue to say this in every meeting that I'm attending, is I'm not organizing people for Sasha. I'm organizing people for my campaign, which is quality education in Oakland. I expect everyone that supported or will be with me through this campaign to look beyond me and to look into the Oakland education system to continue to be engaged. That's what I want to do. I want to bring organizing. I want to bring those families. If you're behind me, if you're contributed $1, $2, you walk with me. The idea is that you will be, at the end of this, you'll be really committed to quality education in Oakland, and you will do your part. And that is one part. The other part is that there's no one in the school board specifically, who has worked around community and family engagement. So that is my bread and butter. 9 to 5, I talk to families, I engage with them, I ask them what is going on, how can we support you. Also, you're seeing our families as assets, as people can come in, that we're not just banks, that we're giving a bunch of information to our families, but they hold information of their own. They're an asset to our community that we have not valued or have used to the best of its ability. We have very talented people in our community that we haven't tapped into because we have not built the systems and we haven't built the trust for our families to really get close to us. And that's what I want to bring. I want to bring a new energy, a new style of leadership that says, we're in this together. You can hold me accountable, but I will too. If you're on this side, we all going to be accountable because it's going to be a community effort. I can't change the path of OUSD if it's not with everybody that supports me, that loves this work and that love the students and that is committed to Oakland for the long haul. That is what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. We have a question now from Gordon Miller.
Okay, yes, I've been hearing about attempts to bring charter schools over there, and what's happening with that? That might have been behind some of the school closures.
Wait, say that one more time, Bruno. Would you rephrase that for me?
An effort to privatize schools may have been one of the motives for school closures.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things that I did want to mention is that District 5 has a really high number of charter schools. We actually have more charter schools than public schools in our district. So we know that it's a big challenge. And that is one of the reasons why we have a particular group creating a coalition against my campaign so that they can push for that, for the closures of our schools and for charter schools. And so for me, I'm very committed to public schools. I'm a candidate of District 5 who is going to fight not only to regain the trust, but to create a realistic plan in how we can get our families back into public education. But public education is one of the very few systems, and I love that that we had Marisol in the house and was talking about being able to do some more for the college in the college education, but definitely starting from our elementary schools and high schools and middle schools. This is one of the very few systems that is still available, that is still free, that our families can access, and that pretty much anyone that is in Oakland is pushed to go through. So we need to protect it. And I will do everything in my power to ensure that there's no school closures. Because again, when our students, if we're saying that it's about performance, you don't close your school, you improve it, you invest in it, you increase the love and support. You don't just take it away. That's not how it works. So and we don't even save the amount of money that we're saving by closing our schools. And I tell you this because they closed one of my schools at the time. And again, seeing that I'm showing up and I'm telling my board members, I don't want this that you continue to make the same mistakes or the same decisions without our consent, without our voices, is the reason why I'm here. I am tired of showing up and telling me you got 1 minute to tell me your entire challenge. I want to do more than that. I want to do office hours in our schools. I want to make sure that I know the culture. I know the personality of each one of the schools, and I'm invested in the work that they're doing. I actually already volunteer for one of the schools, and I'm an active SC member in a District 5 school because my commitment is going to be beyond this race. My commitment to Oakland has been for the last half of my life. And I will continue to do the work here in Oakland. And I just hope that I'm able to do it in this capacity in which families can trust that someone is going to sit there and really listen to their opinions. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Sasha. In the past, we have endorsed Sam Davis, Mike Hutchinson, I think maybe somebody else. And we've also endorsed Elise Castro, who's the superintendent. Anyway, so maybe you'll be joining them. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure to have you. And I'm a little festive because today's Oakland Pride. So I came straight from Pride to show some love to you all. Right. Thank you for showing the love back.
Earlier today, I'm with Javanka's group for her campaign, and me and several other of the people here from our revolution had a booth for her at Solano, and then a bunch of people also went to the parade.
Yeah.
You
I
probably
saw-
saw her there. Yeah.
I saw Barbara Lee. I saw Pamela Price. I saw Mia Vanta. It was an incredible energy today.
Yeah. Some of them came in before I left. They came to our stall, and
Yeah.
because they were supposed to work there, so by 1:30 or 1:45, we had part of the people that were there this morning. So it was exciting. Such great energy.
Yeah. All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
I know,
okay.
Paloma,
Okay.
you wanted to say something? I know you.
Yeah,
somebody-
I was just gonna say, and we've spoken before, that
I need to stop by. I know that. I know that. I was gonna tell
that,
you.
I wrote a book called Building Communities of Learners, and it has a lot to do with involving parents in schools with their kids and bringing in culture. And I just think it would probably be a really good one for you to read because it has a lot of ideas. And I left it on my front porch for you. And when you come by, knock if I'm home, I invite you in. If not, just take it from the box on my front porch.
Will do. Thank you so much. I
Okay.
appreciate you. Have a good one, everyone, and enjoy your weekend.
Okay.
Thank
you so much, and thank you, Marisol. It was great hearing from two strong progressive women. So
Yeah.
we're going to move on now. Our next segment, we're going to hear from OREB member and secretary Gordon Miller, who's going to talk about CARA, which is the California Alliance for Retired Americans. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to put some literature in the chat, and once you've heard my talk, you'll which largely comes from that. I'm not the one that was originally supposed to speak. The head of the organization was supposed to deliver the talk, but she's had some difficulties, got out of the hospital last week. So I'm not the greatest public speaker in the world, but I'm going to have to do. Who is CARA? The California Alliance for Retired Americans was founded 20 years ago in 2003 to build a statewide organization with hundreds of affiliates and individuals to win social and economic justice, full civil rights, and a better, secure future for ourselves and future generations. We're not seniors who say, I sent my kids through school, I don't need to pay for a school bond assessment. We don't play it that way at all. CARA is California's largest grassroots senior advocacy organization. We represent almost 1 million seniors through over 300 plus affiliates. And CARA is the California affiliate of the 4.3 million member Alliance for Retired Americans. I'm going to mention, why did I join this organization? It goes back a long way. Medicare Part D was passed by little shrub bush in the 90s. And back then, I didn't like it because it uses Medicare to charge seniors whatever costs Big Pharma wants us to pay. And I'm a conduit where taxpayer money funnels through me to Big Pharma. And I did not like that. AARP, the big seniors organization, supported Medicare Part D. So I was kind of dissatisfied with that. I realized back then that baby boomer retirees were going to have very few friends in the political arena. So I started searching for progressive senior organizations way back then. And I heard about CARA about 10 years ago from a friend, went to some meetings of my local group and realized this is what I've been looking for. And I've been in it ever since. CARA is organized by portions of California, typically conforming in some way to counties, and they're called CARA Action Teams, and that abbreviates to CAT. So there are CATs. CARA does its grassroots work through the CATs. The Alameda County CAT meets on the second Tuesdays, while the Contra Costa Solano CAT meets on second Mondays. And we're constantly changing the format because we used to meet in person, but we had to resort to Zoom meetings because of COVID. So we're coming back to in-person meetings. But I think everybody who's used Zoom for meetings knows that sometimes Zoom gives you a good meeting that you might not get because of mobility issues, traffic and so on. What are our 2023 priorities? And you can get an idea of what we're about from this. Protect, improve, and expand Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Stop efforts to cut or profitize benefits. There's a bipartisan effort to privatize Medicare. So CARA wrote AJR 4, Assembly Joint Resolution 4, Stop the Medicare Privatization Act, to call on President Biden to terminate the ACO REACH program. ACO stands for Affordable Care Organizations. This is where people from things like private equity are allowed to get into the healthcare business with guaranteed profit. It was started by Trump. Unfortunately, Biden dusted it off a little bit, made some tweaks, and changed some bows and ribbons, and put it out as ACO REACH. We've cleared the House with it, but we're still awaiting passage by the state Senate. We support efforts to win guaranteed health care for all. We do believe that health care is a right, not a privilege. We've supported efforts, and we were big on this, to reform Prop 13. A lot of the state's fiscal problems and localities' fiscal problems go back to this classic Trojan horse attack launched by the real estate industry. So we want to make sure that the wealthy and corporations do pay their fair share. We advocate funding for deeply affordable housing, construction preservation with services as needed. We want to expand protection for renters, homeowners, and manufactured homeowners, including protections against rising utility rates. I've gone myself and testified at the El Cerrito town meeting about a trailer park where somebody with the owner was gonna jack up the rents, throw everybody out and turn the lot into condos. Of course, luxury condos. We can't have affordable housing. Support universal long-term support and long-term services and supports. This is called LTSS, and I've been involved in that lately. And I did help. There's a proposal that's starting its way from the State Insurance Commission, and I made sure with others that existing retirees would be able to collect benefits here or get benefits from this, because the original proposal ignored current retirees. Who is the retired baby boomer going to go to for a friend? CARA, I did that with CARA. We want to advocate for increasing supplemental security income and reinstate COLA for that, cost of living adjustment. And that got cut back in the Schwarzenegger administration. And the person on SSI doesn't get poverty level support. So this is kind of important. And one of the things that the support has had to wait for is the state's rainy day fund. I think the balance for rainy day fund needs to be adjusted a little bit there. We are looking for transparency of drug pricing and negotiation for prices, the thing that Medicare Part D didn't take care of. And President Biden is partially reinstating that as part of the Inflation Reduction Act. We want to protect pensions, of course, including fighting legislative and electoral efforts. And again, this is bipartisan. One of Marisol's opponents is a guy who has strong business connections, and he's come out speaking against public pensions. He's called a Democrat, and I'm calling that loosely. Okay, another is and this is important, a lot of people are concerned about climate. We are trying to educate and engage seniors on climate issues, including supporting a bill that would require billion-dollar corporations to disclose what they're doing about the environment. So, when they do a greenwashing job, they're going to have to be honest when they greenwash. And we do support, improving conditions at nursing homes and advocating for better transparency, accountability, and so on. Nursing homes may not affect you now, but through a lot of seniors wind up in nursing homes because their families can't provide sophisticated supportive services for the senior. So the senior goes on to Medicaid and they wind up in these nursing homes. And I think anybody who's dealt with nursing homes could probably tell you a horror story or two. And we do support efforts to implement campaign finance reform. If we reform campaign finance, a lot of problems that we've got, ranging from Social Security to climate change, will get a lot easier to deal with. And right now we're not doing very good at that. So you can contact us at information that's contained in the brochure. And the final thing I'm going to do is put our website address in the chat. And at that point, I guess I'm open for questions. Thank you for your patience and your time.
Hey, Gordon, thank you. I know you jumped in at the last minute on this. Thank you for doing that. Would anybody like to ask a question about CARA?
Good presentation.
Very good.
Clear.
And by the way, you are a good presenter. You said you
Right.
you kept us engaged.
Oh, okay. Well, there being no questions, shall we move right along?
We have one. No, that's a hand clap. Okay, yeah, okay. We're moving. We have two more segments. One is.
I have a question. I do have a question. So I love CARA. I love the California Alliance for Retired Americans. Every time we've had the fights in Sacramento on healthcare, on laws to prevent rent gouging, on health and environmental regulations on corporations, CARA has always been there. Gordon, I have a question. Do I have to be a senior citizen to be able to join CARA?
If this organization becomes an affiliate, my understanding is you will have joined CARA.
Ah, my goodness.
And I'm not sure if they have a minimum age limitation. Individual membership costs $40 per annum.
Thank you for that, Gordon. Thank you.
Okay, we do have a
Okay.
question. Carol Wolfley, you have a question?
Please
Carol?
unmute.
Oh, she's on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Gordon, I'm a member of the California Retired Teachers Association, and I wonder if Cal Rita is connected with your organization, or if you if we're an affiliate.
I really can't answer that question. A lot of the membership of CARA does come from unions, union retirees. So there's a pretty high chance that you're in there. I would suggest you call the CARA office, talk to Cynthia, and ask if that organization is in the CARA Alliance.
Thank you, because we do a lot of lobbying on healthcare and Social Security issues.
Okay.
Thank you
Very
so
good.
much.
Very good.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Do we have another question? If not, we're going to move on because we have.
I'm just gonna make one more comment.
Okay.
I joined OR kind of generally for offensive purposes, not to be offensive to people, but to try and make the world a better place, that kind of thing. I joined CARA for defensive purposes for the reason I mentioned. Seniors are apt to be under attack, and they are. So who's going to work on behalf of seniors? So that's why I'm in CARA. And I'll keep my mouth shut from here on.
No,
I don't
don't
know.
do that.
Oh, okay, we're going to move on now. We have a couple more things. One, Sherry's going to talk about some of the issues that are likely going to be on the ballot. And then we always have an opportunity for anybody to make an announcement, the maximum of 1 minute. And also, if you're new here, or you haven't been in here a long time, and you just want to say, hi, I'm so-and-so, or just so you feel part of it. And we also, Addie Olvera has just put something, she's leaving evidently, but she's put something in for all of us to read, if people would take the time to read that too. So we're going to move on now and start with Sherry.
Carol, you asked me to talk about legislature, so it's not
Oh,
stuff
I'm
that's going to be
sorry.
on the
I'm
ballot.
sorry.
It's stuff that
Yes, okay.
I'm sure your inbox is just like my inbox, which is full of all kinds of pleas to say, please call Sacramento about yada, 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 to steal it from the commercial. Basically, the reason that they're doing that is legislation to be approved this year has to pass the legislature, both houses, by September 14th. So I have put in the chat the link that goes to the actual legislature site. I found that I think the Law and Poverty Bill Tracker site is a little easier to use if you want to kind of see where your bill is. I did some research on a lot of bills that are still pending, but in this, for the sake of time and interest, I would suggest that you maybe look at those emails and see if any of those bills are important. There's important bills for housing, if Marisol's still here, renters, environment, Mark, justice, The one that everybody's kind of talking about is the one for healthcare, and that's SB 770. And the healthcare in California has kind of two advocates. One is the Healthy California, and one is the part of the coalition with the nurses. 770 basically is a bill that the coalition from the nurses feels would dilute the effort to get universal health care in California. It is still viable. So our revolution has not taken a stand on this or any of the other legislation that's up. But if you feel really strongly one way or the other, this is probably a good one to put your voice and to call your legislator and say, hey, I'm opposed to 770, or I want to go with 770. Basically, what the bill entails is getting a waiver from the federal government to start the ball rolling to be able for California to do their own healthcare system. The nurses feel like it's kind of a stopgap method, and that we should be sure to find we should go stronger and have universal health care as a whole package. So I don't know if there's any other kinds of issues that anybody has. I kind of looked at a bunch of different things. So if there's some particular bill somebody would be interested in, you can raise your hand and I'd see if I looked at it. But basically, if your group like CARA is saying, hey, call your legislature, you have till the 15th, till the 14th, they have to pass those bills. The governor has till October 15 to sign it. So we're kind of in that legislative crunch time.
Okay, would anybody like to ask a question or comment on this?
There's some real interesting bills that are coming up, especially renters kind of expanding the way, but no cause eviction is handled, expanding that. There's a bill on empty property, on how we deal with property that's been vacant. There's environmentally, Mark, you probably can speak to this more than I can, about it's actually kind of transparency bills saying, if you're a polluter, you got to tell us about it. Yeah. I live in Pinole, and which is very close to Martinez, and there's been a whole bunch of stuff that's been going on in Martinez, and nobody really found out about it until people started complaining about it. So this is a bill that will make corporations be more transparent in how they are polluting and when they're polluting and how much they're polluting. If I got it right, Burke. So
okay, I think Gordon has a comment or question.
Did you? I had to take a bio break. Did you cover AB 83?
That right now is if it is resurrected, it'll have to be for next year. Do you want to explain what AB 83 is? Because that's a good bill, but they've kind of put it literally on the floor of the legislature in little bitty pieces right now. It's in committee.
It's back. I want to keep this short. Corporations, dominate government, and this offers a shortcut because most big businesses have significant foreign ownership, and that's a national security issue right away. The companies don't care about the country; they care about their shareholders, and the country be damned. So what this says is a business with significant foreign influence cannot make contributions, cannot make political contributions. Now you can bet every telephone in every legislator's office lit up. So Alex Lee and Ash Kalra were the sponsors, and specifically Alex Lee. He had to pull it out. So big business is definitely having their say. To hell with the country, foreign money, Uber Alice.
Yep.
But it is still possible to pass it next year. Am I
Yes.
not, am I correct? Yeah. As a 2-year bill. I don't know how much you guys know about that, but you know, a bill has 2 years to prove that it can be passed, and then it has to kind of go back and be reintroduced and rewritten. Okay. I think that's it, Carol.
Okay, so would anybody that's here that hasn't asked a question, or even if you have, want to say hi or make an announcement of anything? I'll open that now. Raise your hand.
I'd like to congratulate Alex for her graduation.
All right.
I don't know if she's still there.
Yeah,
But-
she's still here. Okay.
We're all proud of you.
Vinny, you have anything to say? No. Okay, guys. Our next meeting will be the 1st of October. And we expect that to be an endorsement meeting. And there might be quite a few Contra Costa people, candidates at it. That's possibly what we're gonna do in November too, I'm not sure. And down the road, we're gonna, instead of having a regular meeting, we're gonna have a town hall on housing that some of us are working on. And I guess that's it. Anything else, guys? Okay, go out and support the people that we endorse. Right now, we're supporting Javanka Beckles, Jennifer Esteen. There might be a couple more coming up based on people that were here today. And right now, we're only inviting people for endorsement that are going to be in the primary. And later on, probably before the primary, but later on, we'll have the people that will just be in, or that will be in November. Okay, okay, you guys, rock and roll. Shut us off, Susanna. Okay, see y'all later.
Thank you, everybody.